In 1975, if you were a successful doctor or a lawyer, you didn't buy a Ferrari. You bought a Porsche. It was the ultimate status symbol. German engineering, refined luxury, and a price tag that screamed, "I've made it." But within months of its release, this specific machine earned a different name on the streets. They didn't call it the 911 Turbo. They called it the Widowmaker. I remember reading the headlines from that era. It wasn't just that the car was fast, it was that it was predatory. You put your foot down, and for 3 seconds, nothing happened. You'd wait. You'd question if the engine was even working. And then, suddenly, all 260 horsepower would hit the rear wheels at once. Mid-corner, this surge of power would snap the car sideways, sending inexperienced drivers straight into a tree. It was a car that punished mistakes with death. So how did a machine this dangerous become a legend? And why are collectors paying millions for them today? I've dug into the archives to find out why Porsche built a beast they couldn't tame. To understand the body count, we have to look at the physics. The 930 Turbo was a Frankenstein monster born from a loophole. In the early 70s, Porsche wanted to go racing, and to qualify for the FIA Group 4, they had to build 400 road-legal versions of their race car. They took their standard 3.0-liter flat-six engine and bolted on a single, massive KKK turbocharger. This is where the nightmare began. Modern cars use two small turbos to give you instant power. But in 1975, Porsche used one giant turbine. It took a massive amount of exhaust gas to get that heavy fan spinning. So when you stepped on the gas at 2,000 RPM, the engine felt dead. But once you hit 4,000 RPM, the turbo would wake up instantly. I've spoken to drivers who survived these cars, and they all describe the same terror. Lift-off oversteer. Picture this. You're entering a corner too fast. Your natural instinct is to take your foot off the gas. In a normal car, you slow down. In a 930 Turbo, lifting off the gas shifts the weight forward, making the heavy rear engine act like a pendulum. The back of the car swings out, uncontrollable and violent. If the turbo kicked in at that exact moment, you were gone. No traction control, no ABS. Just you, physics, and a 65% rear weight bias trying to kill you. But here is what makes this story crazy. Porsche released this fuel-guzzling monster right in the middle of the 1973 oil crisis. The rest of the world was building slow, efficient hatchbacks. American muscle cars had been neutered by emissions regulations, with Corvettes making a pathetic 165 horsepower. And then Porsche drops the 930. In Europe, it pushed 260 horsepower and did 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds. It was faster than a Ferrari 308. It was faster than a Lamborghini Countach LP400. It was an act of rebellion. I looked at the sales data from 1976. The car cost around $26,000. That's over $140,000 in today's money. It was expensive, dangerous, and politically incorrect, and yet Porsche couldn't build them fast enough. They planned to make just 400 to satisfy the racing rules. But the demand was so high, they ended up building over 21,000 of them over the next 14 years. It turns out people didn't want safety. They wanted to be scared. By 1978, Porsche realized they had to make the car at least slightly survivable. They increased the engine size to 3.3 liters and added a vital component, the intercooler. If you look at the back of a later 930, you'll see the famous T-tray spoiler. That wasn't just for style. The wing was raised to fit the air-to-air intercooler underneath, which cooled the air entering the engine. This allowed them to bump the power to 300 horsepower while making the power delivery slightly smoother. But they still refused to fix the transmission. For 14 years, the 930 Turbo only had a 4-speed gearbox. Why? Because Porsche engineers believed their own gearbox couldn't handle the brutal torque of the turbo engine. It wasn't until 1989, the very last year of production, that they finally gave the 930 a 5-speed Getrag G50 transmission. If you find a 1989 model today, buy it. It's the holy grail because it's the only year you can actually drive it properly. Today, the Widowmaker is no longer just a killer. It's $1 million asset. Collectors don't care about the turbo lag anymore, they crave it. We live in an era of paddle shifters and lane keep assist. The 930 Turbo represents the last time driving was a fight between man and machine. When I look at the 930, I don't see a flaw. I see a car that forced you to be a better driver. Or else, it was the car that taught the world what turbo meant. It killed the careless, but it immortalized the brave. And that is why, 50 years later, the Widowmaker is still the king of the road.